Hey everybody, how you doing? Mark here, going on a little bit of a ride just to have some fun today. That's all we're gonna do. So I want to thank everybody for coming along and joining me on this little ride. Beautiful, beautiful spring type day today. The temperatures here in Beloit, Wisconsin are hovering right around 55 degrees, I think. Cold enough I still need my muffs, but warm enough I don't need my chaps. And in fact, I'm feeling so warm. I got my leather jacket, I've got my blue hoodie on, and then I've also got my turtleneck, my little dickie, and I'm feeling quite warm actually. But I have a feeling once I get out in the country and start riding around, I'm going to be glad that I have all these layers on. But my objective today is just to go see mom and dad. That was it. But while we're out, we might I might swing you out to a house that I used to live at as a kid, and the place where I first originally learned how to ride a motorbike. And I've got a nice little story to tell you about this place. So we are going to go over to State Line Road and see the house I lived at when I was about 8 years old, something like that, 7, 8 years old. And the funny thing is, okay, first of all, I want to let you guys know I've lived in 11 different houses throughout my 12 years of schooling. And one of the houses I lived in twice. And that is actually the house that we are going to go to. Well, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of what it was like for me to be a kid growing up. Okay, we lived in our first house until I was, like I said, probably about 6, 7 years old, something like that. And my dad decided that we needed to move out in the country so my brother and I could have dirt bikes and ride them around. And sure enough, we got out in the country. We lived there for a little while, and Dad bought the two of us our own little dirt bikes. I had this nice little 50cc something or other, I don't know. I was so little I didn't care. I was just happy I had a motorbike, okay? Automatic, there was no shifting on it. Like I said, it was just a small little bike. And then my older brother, who's 3 years older than me, he got a bigger bike. I think he had a 250 or a 300cc bike. And sure enough, we did ride those bikes around a lot. And in fact, we rode them around so much, my dad hated it because he always had to go into town to get more gas for the motorbikes. But being that I was so small, they didn't let me adventure out, to go to my friend's house. I was pretty much stuck in the yard, which it was okay. My brother, however, he had friends, they had dirt bikes, so they would go out and cruise the country roads and do little hill climbs and stuff like that. And they were always trying to show off on who had the better bike and smack talk everybody else, you know what I mean? You guys know what I mean. If you're a biker, you sit there and say, yeah, well, that bike isn't as good as mine, that kind of thing. All right, but the story I actually want to tell is what happened on my very first ride on that little dirt bike. And once I go by the house, I think it's still there, so I'll be able to point it out. I know that the property has changed quite a bit since I was there as a kid over 40 years ago, okay? We're talking like 45 years ago. So there are a lot of trees on the property now. I believe that there's a external garage that they built towards the side of the property. So yeah, there's quite a bit of a difference to the house. I think they actually did a bit of construction on the garage that we used, and I think they turned it into part of a living room or something like that. I don't know exactly how the house has changed on the inside, but I know what they've done on the outside. But when we moved there, we only lived at this house for like a year, and we got to know the family next door, which was like a quarter mile away, and they were running a dairy farm slash crop farm. So they were milking cows twice a day, plus they were also taking care of, I want to say, 40 acres of cornfields, something like that. And it got to the point where my dad bought the lease on the farm, and we moved literally next door to do some farming. Now, you guys know, if you watched my last hiking video, I was talking about living on a farm and how as a 10-year-old I had a really good physique because I was doing all these farm chores and stuff. And that's all true. But the problem is that my dad never considered that as a farmer, you basically can never go on vacation, especially if you've got dairy cows. You've got to milk them twice a day, every day, or you've got to hire extra hands to take care of the farm while you're gone. And we didn't have the money to do that. So we literally had to be there every day to milk the cows, and yeah, it kind of grew on my dad pretty quick. So we sold the lease that we had bought to somebody else. They came in and started taking over the farm, and we literally moved out of the farm back to the house that we moved out of right next door, quarter mile down the road. So yes, I lived in the same house twice in about a 2.5 year period. Alright, this is where I'm going to turn. Never can remember the name of this actual road here. Oh, this is part of State Line Road. Okay. The reason I was a little confused is because I know up above there's a 90-degree turn, and I know that part that runs that way, east and west, that's called State Line Road. I didn't realize that this part that runs north and south was also still considered State Line Road. I thought this road had a different name. Nice view over there, huh? Yeah, love this country. Look at that. There's no speed sign on that curve, but yeah, this is kind of sharp. Nice little creek over there. Right over there is a winery now. They built that, gosh, about 5-10 years ago, something like that. You can go in there and have a bite to eat and take a tour of the winery. I tell you, they have never surfaced this road ever that I know of. This is still the same old broken blacktop that I lived on 45 years ago. I just love these old farms and stuff out here. So nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing by past the house. It's not far after this little stop sign up here. And I'll have to do a freeze frame shot. And I'll just keep talking as I show the house in a freeze frame, okay? I don't want to sit there and stop in front of the house and have the people think that I'm some weirdo or something. I used to be friends with a little girl that lived here, and I just lived down the hill. Okay, so right up here is the house where this trailer is. Now you see that little tree there at the corner? Oh, and by the way, this is the house that we moved in, the farm, and if you remember my last hiking video, I was talking about silos. Those silos are the ones I climbed. So, yeah, I got a lot of stories right on this little part of the road. Okay, so anyway, back to the other house. You saw that tree right at the corner of the house? When my dad first fired up that little dirt bike, and it was a pull cord dirt bike, you know, you had to actually pull the cord to start it. I jumped on that thing, and my dad was giving me the little rundown, you know, this is the throttle, this is the brake, and you know, the more you twist the throttle, the faster you go. And of course I'm like, hey Dad, I got it. Well, I hit that gas and I took off, and my head whipped back because I took off so quick on that little bike, and I literally drove up that tree. My dad comes over, I'm like stunned. It's like, what the hell just happened? He's like, you're okay. It's like, yeah, I'm okay. You know, I wasn't crying or anything. I was like just confused on what the hell just happened. But the mini bike was still running. He goes, look, you didn't even kill it. And it's like, oh, that's good. And get back on it. He goes, now don't throttle up so much, and you know, pay attention to what you're doing. Okay. I hit that throttle again, and wham! I hit the corner of the house. So that was my experience of my first attempt of riding a motorbike. I hit a tree, and then I hit the corner of a house. Oh, God. We used to go swimming in that little pool right down there. And in fact, this road that I'm on used to be a dirt road. It used to be all gravel. Oh. So yeah, that's the story on how I started riding motorbikes. But it never deterred me, man. I wanted to ride. Even back when I was that young, I just enjoyed it. Unfortunately though, my dad did not enjoy going out and getting gas for us all the time. So after a little while, it seems like my little dirt bike just kind of vanished. I have no idea whatever actually happened to it. And yeah, I don't even remember what happened to Brian's dirt bike either. They just kind of disappeared. And oh, look at it, they got goats out in that cornfield. There's no fence there either, they're just walking around. But yeah, I don't remember actually having those dirt bikes on the farm. You know, we never really ridden anywhere that I can recall. I mean, we might have, I just don't remember. And then, of course, I don't remember having the dirt bikes when we moved back down to that house either. So I'm not sure exactly what happened. Check out that silo. It's got doors on different levels. I'm kind of curious on what's in there. See, it's so cool just to get out and ride around. Just adventure. Get on roads that you've never been to or you're rarely on. It's amazing how things change over time. You know, you can sit there and go, oh, I know my roads. I've lived here my whole life. And you know what? Just because you live somewhere your whole life doesn't mean that you know everything that's going on. You know, you don't know where that road goes because you've never been down that road. You know, is there maybe a nice little country bar down that way that you might enjoy, or even a nice little structure? You know, maybe there's a country church down that way that looks really neat and you might enjoy seeing it, or maybe there's a vista view like this that you can enjoy, and you can sit there and go, wow, I never knew the view was like that. You know, you guys got to get out and enjoy your ride, and that's what my channel is all about, is just to encourage you to go out and have an adventure, enjoy a ride. It doesn't have to be far from home, and it does not have to be very long. We've been riding for what, about 20 minutes, and I'm happy. I really am. No train that way and none that way. I tell you though, I gotta do a little preparation on the bike to actually get it ready for riding season. I still need to change the oil, and I want to put some air in the rear shocks. These shocks don't hold much air, and they leak out every winter. So I've always got to replenish it, and then even replenish it again a couple of times during the riding season. And actually I'll make a video on how to do that, because there is a little tricky knack to doing it, because there's such a small little air bladder in there that yeah, it's a little tricky. You don't want to rupture that bladder, and you kind of need a special air valve on your compressor when you do it. You can't have one that locks onto the threads. You got to have one that's a quick release. You just go psh, and that's it. That's all you do. Alright, and this is the town of my destination. This is the little town of Clinton. This is the town where I lived in 11 different houses and 12 years of my schooling, and never left the school district. That yellow building right up there where all the cars are, that's actually a really good machine shop, or automotive shop. And that's the DeLong house. They actually own the DeLong feed mill. They also do some sort of a horse racing thing. I don't know what the racing is called, but they basically have like a chariot type of a wagon that the horse pulls, but the horse has to run in a very specific way to where the legs on one side have to move in unison. This mobile station, my mom used to work here years and years ago. In fact, when we lived out on State Line Road, I would actually ride my bicycle all the way to that gas station to see my mom. because she was working, I think it was a second shift. So she would get done at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then she would put my bike in her trunk and we'd ride home together. All right, here we are, Mom and Dad's house. All right, Mom, see you later. Alright, got my day done with Mom and Dad. Dropped off the little sweater from my niece. And as you can see, I stripped down some layers. I took the dicky off. I took the blue sweatshirt off. I left the handlebar muffs on just because, you know, it is below 60 degrees, so bare hands might get a little cold. Okay, so we're going to head back into Beloit now. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on this little ride with me. And again, that's what I want to inspire from you. Just to get out and go for a ride. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be far away. It doesn't have to be across the country. You don't have to do 1,000 miles in 24-hour iron butt type ride. You just need to get out and ride. That's all you got to do. So I want to thank you guys for coming along, sharing the fun with me, sharing the adventure. Stay tuned next week. I'm going to do a cooking video. I haven't quite decided on what recipe I'm going to do. I have two in mind. One's a chicken dish and the other one is a pork dish. Alright, well, this is Mark saying thanks again for watching. Thank you for all the likes, the comments, subscribing. I appreciate it all. It helps out the channel tremendously. And if you have a friend that might like some of my content, please share my video with them. Let them be able to watch it. Alright, I'll see you guys on the road. Bye.